Hello, and thank you for clicking on this video. So I wanted to ask you, how do you describe your relationship with God? Now, no matter if you believe or don't believe, no matter what religion or assumptions or anything like that, um, that does, no matter what, please share below in the comments. How do you describe your relationship with God? Um, Now, again, it doesn't matter. Even if you don't believe, you can put that down. It's basically if someone says, asks you that question like I just did, what would you say? How do you describe your relationship with God? Um, Non-existent. He doesn't exist. He's my savior. He's my rock. He's my best friend. He's my father. Like whatever. Please, I'm interested in hearing from you. How do you describe your relationship with God? And you may never even have been asked that question. This may be the first time you even really had to think about it. But still, however you do you, boo boo, describe your relationship with God, please share that below. So again, I'm interested in reading your answers and seeing the different relationships or different perspectives that people have with God, because we are all unique. No matter if you believe or don't believe or whatever your beliefs, the reality is that we're all created by our Creator, and so no matter what your perspective is, and that's that doesn't rely on your belief, okay? It's just truth. And so no matter what your belief is yours, okay? And it is personal, so of course, some people may not feel comfortable sharing, but this is online. It's really, you're anonymous, so I'm asking you to please share below in the comments. But it's a big deal because, especially if you've never even thought about it before, to really think about it, because of course this world does lead you to be focused on the snares of this world, which makes sense when you really understand the reality of things, that the physical is temporary, the physical is death. We're not physical. Like, what we are is not physical. We're in a physical body having a physical experience, but we are not physical. We are not of the world. We are in the world. And I've kind of touched on those terms and those topics. But really, it comes down to your relationship with God. I mean, and so I want to bring this up to your awareness and ask you this question. And how would you describe that, your relationship with God? Now, really, and there's no judgment, by the way. There's no judgment. There's no right or wrong answer. Don't put down what you think you should say, or don't put down, be honest and truthful. I would rather you not put anything down if it's not going to be honest and truthful from in here, because that's who we really are. But I want to really encourage you, especially if you haven't even thought about it, to really try to focus on your relationship with God, no matter what, okay? He already knows you. He created you, and he still loves you. If you exist, he loves you. So don't let judgment or shame or the fear, of being wrong, or any fear, hold you back, because he's still there and he still knows you. So you might as well just be honest, open and honest. Now, we all make mistakes, okay? And the only way to really see the mistakes and to really improve ourselves and grow and get stronger is not to use the physical man-made measurements, okay? Because those are all based within this box of the physical reality. But again, and even if you don't believe it, just think for a second here. If we are eternal, if our feelings, emotions, thoughts, morals, decisions, all that stuff, ethics, is really what lives on, isn't it worth, looking into, or at least trying to validate for yourself truth? Would you rather not know if it's true or not, and not search, or would you rather search and know for yourself? And I encourage everyone. That's really the point, is for all of us. Now, there's many ways for us to do that. So you have to be true to you. There's not one path. There's not one way. But you have to desire to know truth. That's the basis. And you have to search. You have to want to know, because we have free will, and then and knock on the door, and the door will be opened. Seek and you shall find. Like, all those words are true, but you have to put that first, and because God is truth, like I've talked about. God is love. God is peace. God is the fruits of the Spirit, which I've talked about before. And so if you put those first, you're putting God first. Like don't get caught up and snared, I've mentioned before, with man-made labels and stuff. There's no separation. Okay? There either is or is not. There's no gray area. And you may not agree or even understand what I just said, but I've made videos on those in the past. You can look up those questions and stuff, but if you're interested. But things are really simple. And so you either want to know and desire to know, or not. You either desire love or you don't. You either desire peace and joy or you don't. You desire the truth or you don't. There is no in between. There is no based on circumstances or based on situations. That's just the gray area that's confusing. Okay? You either are or are not. Okay? And so I wanted to, really bring this to your awareness, so that you're self-aware of it. To ask your question, how would you define your relationship with God, or how do you define your relationship with God right now, and where would you like it to be? Or you may not even be aware or know enough to be able to know where you would like it to be. But let me share my relationship with God, and because God has been and always will be the same, and he loves all of his creations infinitely. So there's no loving someone more than others. There's no one we're all uniquely special, but we're all uniquely special. It's not like worldly thinking. It's beyond that. And so I don't want to take away from that, but there is no better or worse. That's what I'm trying to say. So don't get caught up in all that stuff. Okay? But I want to let you know, from my experience and my relationship with God, how it really is. Okay? And to really show that, and I'm going to try to make this quick, but I want to make people who may not even think this is possible aware that there is nothing impossible with the Almighty. And that's true. Like, you can hear those words, and you can maybe even believe in those words, but let me tell you, I know from experience, I know that to be true now. Okay? But so let me say, before really 2.5, almost 3 years ago, when I was more of the world, I see now that really I put self-limits on myself. I put self-limits on everything, right? And I think really in general, that's the way this worldly thinking is, because we're really in a mindset of limitations. Like you have so much time. You know your time's limited, resources are limited, knowledge is limited. Like things like we're in a limited mindset, but that's just this reality which is temporary. Okay, everything in the physical is temporary, but the eternal, the real reality is that there are no limits. Okay, so it's kind of hard from this perspective, this worldly perspective, to really understand it. And that's why you need to involve God to show you, to give you the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Okay? But you have to desire it. And if you really truly desire it, it's not just saying it, it's being it. It is putting it first. Okay? Again, I've used the analogy, if you want to race cars, then you're going to be a race car driver. You know, if you want to help people, I don't know, in whatever field, like the medical field, you know, you're going to be a nurse or doctor. You know, you're going to do the things that make you that. Well, if you desire to know truth, you're going to do the things to make you that. And you're going to want to be truth and authentic. You have to. Okay? But anyways, with me, you know, we all have our own unique journeys, our own lessons, and our own perspectives. So it's not like there's one mold. There is not one mold to follow. But I want to share my experience just again to let you know what is possible, at least. So in the worldly thinking, you know, again, I was in this limited mindset. And let me tell you, when you really find truth, you'll realize that nothing really is limited. Okay? And we limit ourselves. We limit ourselves in so many different areas. And including maybe even relationships with people, with ourselves, and with God. Okay? So even if we don't, or even if we say we don't, that box that we live in, that reality, the rules that we live within, can already limit that, even though, so within the box, we say nothing's impossible. But really with God, when you really understand things, there is no box. Does that make sense? Hopefully that kind of makes sense. I mean, we're still living in the world, but we're not of the world. Okay? And God is real. And if you don't care to know, then that's up to you. And I suggest, though, that you at least seek first and come to your own conclusions. Don't listen to what other people say. Really go directly to God. You have to desire it, though. You can't say that, oh, I don't believe in God, and so I'm going to do this even though it's wasting my time. You can't have that attitude. You have to know wherever the truth leads you. You have to put that first, above feeling good, above your ego, about being right or wrong, above all that stuff of the flesh, of the physical, of your ego. But so I was in that limited mindset. You know, there was chance, there was luck, there was I had to pave the way myself for things to happen. You know, there's definitely injustices, you know, so I have to fight for justice. I have to fight for myself. There's things, because there's chances and randomness, and you have to fight for your own justice. That type of thinking. There's fear, there's worry, there's stress. Because things could only work in certain ways. You had to navigate those narrow walkways. You know, you're trying to fit a mold that the world tells you that this mold is what will do this for you, or you have to have these things or have this title for you to achieve these things that you're seeking. So hopefully I'm describing, and I think many people I think you would understand, most people will understand what I'm trying to get at. And that's really the worldly thinking. That's being of the world. That's being your limit, your box, your walls are restricted into the physical. But let me tell you, when God really showed me, and I've even talked about this, really it was through his agent, through an angel visitation, but it was more than that. And it was like I had definitely a glimpse. I had no way, I don't know it all or anything, but I definitely had a glimpse. And I've even used the word an unmeasurable small or fraction of what is, but it was more real than anything here on earth, anything in my life, okay? To try to put it in perspective. But and of course, I'm on my own journey, learning my own lessons still. There's all my own struggles, of course, my own trials and tribulations. But now, all those things that used to snare me of the world, they don't snare me now, okay? Because again, I've talked about being a hoper, a believer, or a knower, and I'm a knower, and the only way to get there, though, is to experience God, and the only way to get there is to seek and involve God and put him first to know. And keep in mind, God is love, peace, and truth. So if you desire those things, you desire God. Don't get caught up in man-made labels. But if you put that first and you seek that first and you try to be those things, the more you experience God, the more you know. The more confidence you get through experience and all that stuff. Okay, you get stronger. But now it's like I know that everything has a purpose. Okay, nothing's random chance and just a waste. Okay, everything has a purpose, and everything has an expected end that's good. Everything's in control, in God's control. So if he allows it to happen, again, it's for a good purpose and it's for a reason. Okay, we don't like to face those reasons a lot of times, but maybe that's the whole point, because you need to face truth. And the thing is once you learn more truth doesn't shake, and you get stronger and you grow, because your foundation in truth is bigger, because you expand that instead of feeding illusions and lies that aren't real, that shake, that crumble by truth. The darkness is overcome by the light. Darkness is empty. It's nothing. You can't measure the speed of darkness. You measure the speed of light, because the light is something. It is substance. It is all that really there is. But anyways, so now my life is, I know he's always with me. And those are, I've heard those words throughout my life, but literally he's always with me. And I suggest, you can just imagine him being right behind you or right beside you. When you're talking to him, you can imagine him being sitting there, if that helps you. But the thing is God is the great I am that I am. Like, things don't exist without God. And that's why sin is death. When you go against God, it's not because of God's ego telling you what to do and you're breaking rules. It's literally he is life. And when you go against God, you are death. And that's suffering. It's painful. It's not the fruits of the Spirit. So when you understand all this stuff, like life now, it is an adventure. It doesn't matter what man-made labels or molds. Like, I don't need to have 6 Corvettes, in a beach house and all that stuff. That's not what things are about. And if you've achieved anything like that in your life, something that you thought would satisfy you or fulfill you, it doesn't stick, because it's an illusion. It's not real. It's not eternal. But with God, it always is. So you're almost invincible, okay? In a way, in this way, is that everything has a purpose. You just have to walk the path, try to be love in every moment, and try to live in the moment. That's all you have to do. And everything else is done for you, okay? Now, you have to follow your own heart, your own desires. You have to be true. But really, if there's a purpose in something that's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. And if you just think that it can't, it won't, because we have free will. You're choosing it. When you think something bad about someone else, you're creating it and you're going to receive it. It doesn't matter who you want it directed to. There is such a thing as people call karma, or what goes around comes around, but there is justice in the world. And you have to try to be just, because just is God. It is part of love. Love is God. It's all connected. There's no separations. Okay? But my days, no matter what I'm facing on the outside, it doesn't get to me now. I don't worry. I don't stress. I don't have fear. It is, and these aren't just like trying to convince yourself to not have fear and all that. I literally don't have it. I literally don't have it. And how would you like to live a life like that, where you know everything's for a good purpose? Like, if you focus in the physical eyes, in the physical measurements, you can get snared by them. But again, when you seek God, you seek truth, and you know who you are through experiencing God, all that stuff fades away, because you know it's all illusions. You know it's all temporary, no matter what it is. And you know who you are, and you know where you're going. Okay? And you know what you gain, the gifts you gain are eternal. Okay? And I've talked about, like, what do you invest in? You invest in these temporary things that break, that get dusty, that get rotten, that their satisfaction and fulfillment they give you is temporary and all that stuff, because it doesn't come from physical things. And when you really understand that you're always in control of your mindset and your emotions, like, don't allow your emotions to control you. No matter what you're feeling, you know. Does that make sense? It's hard to convey because it's all unique to all of us. It's a personal relationship with God. So that's why I wanted to ask you, how do you define your relationship with God? No matter what your beliefs are or whatever, just how right now would you do that? And, because you have to start with truth and be authentic. But I so encourage you. I can't make you choose. I can't make you desire things. But I so encourage you to seek the gifts that God has for you. And they're gifts not like a car. They're not like money. Those are tools. So God may use those for a purpose. But the main gifts is literally, and what we usually think that the physical world, things outside of ourselves give us, but they don't. They really come from God. But it's true peace, joy, just, again, no worry, no stress, no fear. And just the knowing, which can only come from Him, because it's above this world. It's greater than this world. It's more realer than real. Does that make sense? So anyways, I know this video is long, but I basically wanted to get you to kind of see, how do you see your own relationship with God, no matter where you are, no matter what it is. And really, hopefully, give you a picture of what could be. So if you're facing stress, you're facing pain, you're facing worry and all this stuff, seek God, okay? Because the thing is this, you're going to face the same things over and over again until you actually face truth and get out of it what you're supposed to get out of it. Because they're all temporary, but what you get out of it is eternal. And so you have to really seek God to help you with that. Because we are even from the eternal, infinite love, okay? So, but our perspective here in the physical is limited. We come from an unlimited perspective, an infinite perspective, but the only way to get a different perspective and learn different viewpoints and lessons is to have a limited perspective. So we're limited here, so you need Him to help you. You do, but you have to humble yourself to be able to admit that, because if your ego overrules you and you think that you're invincible, you can do everything on your own, the pain's going to keep coming until you humble yourself and say, God, I need you. Because I know that happened to me, and that's a real experience. And I think I've even talked about that, or you can ask me about it if you want to know. Anything like that. But I want to wrap this up because I know it's a long video. But this is like what life's about. This is what life is all about, okay? So if you're going down avenues, doing a bunch of work, and then you find at the end of the road that it's not fulfilling, that it doesn't stick, that you still feel like you're missing something, this is what you're missing if you're not doing this, okay? Anyways, thank you for watching, sticking with me in this video this long, and comment below questions, comments, your own experiences, and definitely please share how do you describe your relationship with God, okay? And if you like the video, please thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, ring-a-ding-a-ling that bell for notifications to let you know when I upload videos, and as always, stay strong and God bless.